everyone, and welcome to our second Moody Talk of the month of March. This month we are focusing on shame, which shame is one of those really difficult emotions that people can't believe that it's a valid emotion because it can feel so difficult. It can feel so hard and just awful. Shame can feel very awful, but shame actually does have a valid reason for existing as an emotion for us as human beings. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit more about what shame is versus what toxic shame is. And I think it really needs to be discussed because there's so much of a difference between the two. And I'm going to give a trigger warning because I'm going to be talking about my own trauma, my own toxic shame that has stemmed from childhood abuse. And so I want to give everyone a heads up in case they need to maybe step back from the video or just know that it's coming. So I will try not to get too involved in it, and we can talk about it without hopefully triggering people. Okay. So, what is shame? In DBT, which is something that I use a lot, that has really helped me through my trauma work, DBT talks about shame as, the definition being when you do something that is against the moral code or the ideals of a society, whether that's your social circle or its society as a whole. So it has function to it. And let me give you an idea of that. Last week I used the example of, so there's a little kid out in the playground with a bunch of other kids, and this kid wants a toy that another child is playing with. So the child goes up to the one with the toy, and maybe first they ask for it, and the child says, "No, I'm playing with it." But then the child gets angry and takes it away from them or hits them, and runs off with the toy, or the other child is crying. An adult sees this, and a caregiver or a parent, someone like that, sees this, goes up to the child and says, "We don't do that. We don't take away toys from people, especially when they've said that they're playing with it. We don't hit people. That's not acceptable." And the child may feel this feeling of shame, which is okay, because that's what it's meant for, right? It's a functional emotion that helps to, learn what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable in the social circle that they're in. So that's shame. When it turns toxic is what is probably one of the hardest emotions and feelings to get over. I have to be honest, I still live with toxic shame. And it's because when it's very rooted in your nervous system, it's very difficult to break free of. So toxic shame is, so here we go, let's say. So shame is, I did something bad, okay? Now toxic shame is, I am bad. And that's when it turns toxic, is that when a person, a child, anyone believes that they are a bad person. And that is what toxic shame is. So I live with complex PTSD and major depressive disorder. It stems from my childhood abuse. I say I live with it because I don't suffer from it. I won't let that be a definition for me. So I live with complex PTSD and depression. And my childhood was very difficult. I had a very, very abusive father, so much so that he went to jail for what he did to me and my family. Every day when I was little, he would tell me that I was fat and ugly and no one loved me and they will never love me. And when a child hears that daily, they believe it. They believe that they're not worthy of being loved or accepted. And you add on something like a society's ideal of beauty and, thinness, that kind of thing. That just puts it into even more perspective for a child. My father used to point out women on the street, wherever we were, and tell me that I would never look like that person, that I would never be pretty, that I would never be skinny, and that no one would actually love me. And it's painful. It's definitely one of those things that I know deep in my head that that's not true. And I mean, look, I grew up, I had boyfriends, I had a husband, I have children, I have many, many people who love me. And in my head, I understand that. But in my heart, it's still there. So when you're talking to someone and trying to explain that they've done something that isn't right, that isn't a part of the social circle, it's really, really important that you point out that what they've done is not acceptable, and not that they are unacceptable as a person. So toxic shame is something that I think many people don't realize that they actually have, right? Like I said before, we have so many different social standards of what is correct, what is perfect, what is beautiful, anything like that. And when you're told on a regular basis that that's not you, and you're not going to ever be the way that other people are or want you to be, it digs deep into your soul and doesn't easily disconnect. So I wanted to, talk a little bit more about that so that people understand that we as a people are not bad people, but what we do is bad, right? So it's not even bad, it's just unacceptable. And so when working with, children, being with your own children, it's really important to point that out. What you did is unacceptable, not you're a bad kid because of what you've done. Okay? How do we break free from toxic shame? It's a lot of work. Something that I'm still working on. And one of the main reasons why I built Moody and created them is because of that frustration of not feeling worthy and not feeling accepted. And I don't want other people to feel that way. That is something that's very, very important to me because I know how it feels. So Moody, I made them so that families could better understand the emotions that everyone feels and that they are acceptable to feel that and not to hide away their feelings for shame, because that's not what emotions are there for. Emotions are there to help you to learn and to grow and to, reach the heights that you want to reach in life, right? So Moody was a very big part of me learning to get through my toxic shame. And I hope that others can find their way through that through therapy, through talking through when you're feeling that shame, feeling as though you're not a good person or not worthy. So again, that's why one of the major reasons why I created Moody was to help families to properly discuss emotions and to learn from each other. that we're all good people, but sometimes we do things that aren't so great. That doesn't mean that you're bad. It just means that you need to learn that that's not an acceptable thing to do. So I hope that that is helpful to you. And I mean, there are definitely resources, and I can post resources on how to deal with toxic shame. I myself, I go to therapy. I just started a compassion-based group that talks through shame and in a compassionate way. And, you know, I think I would love to, once I start getting into it, talk more about that on the Moody talk, because I think it's important for us to all understand that we belong and that we are basically good people. So that is what the difference is between shame and toxic shame. I hope that that helped. And if you have any questions or comments, I would very much love for you to put them down below in the comments section or DM me to talk a little bit more about it, because I think it's important that we as a society understand the difference and how we can help ourselves heal, because I know that people my age, definitely for sure, were taught never to show emotion, never to make people uncomfortable, don't be angry, that kind of thing. And that's a shaming thing that we go through. You may not even realize that, but when our parents told us, you know, don't be an angry girl, don't make people uncomfortable, they were shaming us, telling us that we were doing something very wrong, when emotions are very valid and we need them to grow. So I hope that helped. And again, please comment, question. I would love to be able to talk more about what you want to hear about shame. I'm going to be going into coping skills next week, and I hope that that will also help. A little bit more about like mindfulness and non-judgmental, you know, actions. So have a good rest of the week, and I will talk to you guys later.